I want to start this deep dive with a vibe check. Picture this. You're walking down a path lit by paper lanterns. The air is warm. It smells like citrus and wood smoke. You can hear the ocean lapping against the shore. And maybe, just faintly, someone is singing.
Badly, I hope.
Badly but happily, at an open mic night.
It feels like the definition of peace, right?
It sounds like the vacation we all desperately need.
It really does. But now, I want you to look up, way up, past the lanterns, past the atmosphere, into the cold vacuum of orbit.
Okay.
There's a starship up there, the USS Arawyn. And while the crew is down on the surface, drinking cocktails and falling in love, the ship itself is just sitting there.
In the dark. Weapons offline.
Technically compromised and facing a silent, shape-shifting threat that could be, well, literally anyone.
That is the duality we are unpacking today. It is a massive contrast.
Yeah.
We are looking at the USS Arawyn's shore leave on the Lathira IV.
And it's not just a holiday. No. Looking through this stack of sources, we've got personal logs, security briefings, engineering reports. It's clear this was something else.
It felt more like a frantic attempt to glue a broken crew back together. The mission for this deep dive is pretty specific. How do you rebuild?
Right.
Because on the surface, they're rebuilding emotionally. But mechanically, up in orbit, the ship is practically falling apart.
And they have to fix both, the people and the machine, because the galaxy didn't exactly pause just because they took a week off.
Let's start with the people side of it.
Yeah.
Usually when I read about shore leave, it's just dismissed, see in 48 hours. But the files from Lathira Shoreleave, she's the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Director, she had a totally different game plan. She keeps using this phrase, soft landings. What is that?
Soft landings is actually a fascinating bit of psychology for a paramilitary organization like Starfleet. Wren's argument, which she details in her logs, is that you can't just flip a switch from red alert directly to relaxation.
Your body doesn't work that way.
Yeah. The biological stress response just doesn't work that way. If you dump a hypervigilant crew onto a beach, they don't relax. They just, vibrate with anxiety.
I can see that. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Precisely. So Wren set up these structured transitions, morning hikes, scavenger hunts, these flow movement classes.
Not mandatory fun, I hope.
No, which everyone hates. It was more a guided pathway to decompress. She was trying to, walk their nervous systems down from the ledge.
But does that really work for the leadership? I mean, I'm looking at Captain Sabrina Corbin's logs. I just can't imagine a captain joining a scavenger hunt and actually relaxing.
You're right, she didn't. And that is where Corbin's story gets really interesting. She knows she can't relax if she's Captain Corbin.
That rank is a barrier.
It's a huge barrier to rest. So she went undercover.
On her own shore leave.
Yeah. She found a small, hole-in-the-wall bar called Tide Gardens. She took off the comm badge, hid the rank pips, and introduced herself to a local named Evan as Just June.
Just June. That is a pretty stark change from commanding a Sovereign-class starship.
But she committed to it. Her logs are surprisingly sensory. She talks about the warmth of the room, the taste of a specific citrus drink. She even got up on stage at an open mic night.
Wait, the captain sang karaoke?
She did, and she missed a note. But that is the key insight here. Evan, the local, told her she was fearless, specifically because she didn't apologize for missing the note.
He had no idea who she was.
None. He just saw a woman who knew the lyrics and didn't care about perfection. For Corbin, that anonymity was the only way she could be human for a few hours. She had to strip away the rank to remember who she was underneath it.
It seems like a lot of the crew were trying to find that human version of themselves. I was reading through the files for Dr. Riah Amberlyn, the CMO, and Lieutenant Steve Remington.
Ah, the cabin in the woods vibe.
Exactly. It sounds like a romance novel, set-up fireplace, rain on the roof, handwritten letters.
It does sound romantic, and it was, but there's a detail in Ria's log that I think is much more telling about her mental state.
The canoe.
The canoe, yes. She describes going down to the dock, seeing a canoe tied up there, and instead of getting in, she just gives it a gentle push away from the dock.
I noticed that too. Why do you think that's so important?
Because Starfleet officers are doers. They're trained to pilot, to navigate, to take control.
Right.
By pushing the canoe away, she's engaging in a physical rejection of doing. She is choosing stillness. She doesn't want to steer. She just wants to exist. It's a profound moment of recognizing her own burnout.
That sounds lovely. But looking at the security reports, not everyone had a peaceful getaway. We have to talk about Lieutenant Ryan Collingway, because his shore leave ended in jail.
Confinement to quarters, yes. And this connects directly to the engineering crisis we're about to get to. Ryan was part of a group that got drunk and tried to fix a mag lift on the planet's surface.
I'm guessing Fix is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
Massive heavy lifting. They caused a power outage. But the interesting part isn't the prank, it's the conversation that happened afterward. Ryan has this incredibly raw moment with Arawyn.
The MWR director.
The one we mentioned earlier, yes.
Okay.
He confesses he feels like a fraud. He tells her she shouldn't be friends with him because he has too much baggage.
And this is where Allura drops that surprise about her own background.
She reveals she isn't human. She's Risian.
I completely missed that on the first pass. I just assumed she was human.
Many do. But she uses that moment to explain that her physiological reaction to stress is different. Ryan thought she was having a mental breakdown, but she explains it's just how her biology processes overload.
So they bond over that.
They bond over that shared imperfection. He feels like a fraud. She feels misunderstood biologically. It's a great little moment.
Okay, so you have the crew down on the surface having these deep human moments. Singing, bonding, pushing canoes. But while that's all happening, what's going on up in orbit? Because disaster feels like a mild word for these engineering reports.
Disaster is appropriate. Enter Lieutenant Commander Elias Harlan, the new chief engineer. He beams aboard expecting a normal handover. Instead, he finds the ship is, well, screaming for help.
Is this just standard wear and tear? I mean, things break in space.
No, this is negligence. Harlan starts digging into the logs to fix the power grid issues from Ryan's little mag lift incident. But he finds something much, much worse.
Okay.
The Arawyn is a Sovereign-class ship, top of the line. But the tactical array phasers, torpedoes, targeting sensors was signed off as ready without ever being powered up.
Wait, how? How do you launch a starship without turning on the guns to check if they work?
You pencil whip it.
Pencil whip it.
It's an old term. It means signing off on a safety check or a maintenance log without actually doing the work. You just whip the pencil down the page, check, check, check.
What, why?
Harlan traces the ship's frame serial number. The Arawyn wasn't a new build. The frame was a survivor of the Utopia Planitia synth attack on Mars years ago.
Oh, wow. So it was a salvage job.
Essentially. It sat unfinished after the shipyards were destroyed. It was finished later at Eroding yards, but the pressure to get ships out the door meant people were cutting corners. Someone signed the book without walking the deck.
That is terrifying. If they had run into a hostile force.
It would have done a very short mission. The ship was defenseless. Harlan handles the horror with humor, though. Did you see the log entry titled The 6 Shifts of Christmas?
Yes. It was a parody song he wrote. 4 faulty relays.
6 miswired targeting sensors. And he notes in the margins that the sensors were actually pointing at each other.
No.
Yes. If they had fired the phasers, the ship would have blown its own nacelles off.
And there was something about an isolinear chip.
One of the main computer chips was installed backwards, in a slot clearly labeled this side up. It's funny when you read it, but the implication is chilling. The crew is relaxing, thinking they're protected by this mighty fortress. In reality, the fortress is made of glass.
And fixing this wasn't simple. It wasn't just flipping a breaker.
No. Harlan had to drain power from everywhere just to test the systems. This caused massive friction with the science department. Lieutenant Sorvak, the Vulcan science chief, filed multiple complaints.
His experiments were degrading.
From the power loss, exactly. It's that classic Starfleet conflict. Immediate survival versus long-term discovery.
And survival wins.
Survival has to win. Harlan is worried the photon torpedoes are paperweights. He wins that argument.
So Harlan's frantically rewiring the ship, the crew is slowly recovering, and then we get the intelligence briefing from Vice Admiral Cedra McLaren, and the tone just changes instantly.
This is where we shift from a technical problem, broken guns, to an existential one. The intel is simple and terrifying. A changeling has infiltrated fleet operations.
For anyone who might not be a historian of the Dominion War, why is a changeling such a nightmare scenario? It's just one spy, isn't it?
It is one spy who is a liquid shapeshifter. They can look like a chair, a data pad, or your best friend. They don't just infiltrate, they replace.
Right.
McLaren orders Captain Corbin to quietly revet her senior staff. Trust, but verify.
That order sounds impossible to execute.
Yeah.
How do you look at your bridge crew, people you trust with your life, and wonder if they're a liquid alien?
Corbin handles it by bringing the senior staff into the circle immediately. She doesn't keep it to herself. She calls a meeting in the observation lounge. Battenberg, Harlan, McKinney, Sorvak, Amberlyn, Ayev. She is transparent about the threat.
But the paranoia must have been palpable.
You can see it in the logs. Flamia, the chief of security, is already struggling with a new psionic implant. He's hearing everyone's emotions, which is overwhelming enough on a good day.
And now he has to filter out spy from anxiety.
Exactly. It's an impossible task.
They did come up with some clever detection methods, though. I was expecting phaser sweeps or blood tests.
Right. Instead, and Sorvac suggest monitoring sanitation and replicator usage.
Because changelings don't eat.
They don't eat, and more importantly, they don't produce waste. It's unglamorous security through plumbing, but it's brilliant. If someone hasn't used the bathroom or ordered food in 3 days, that's a massive red flag. It is a way to hunt the spy without turning the ship into a witch hunt.
Speaking of hunting ghosts, we need to circle back to Ryan Collingway. We mentioned he was in jail, but his logs reveal something much darker driving him.
Ryan carries a very heavy burden. He served on a ship called the USS Arawyn. In a private conversation with Commander Harlan, he admits that he killed a Benzite officer on that ship.
So, killed someone.
It was an operational error during a crisis, and he was officially exonerated. But the guilt is clearly eating him alive. But here is the connection to the Arawyn.
Let me guess. The Thesia had the same flaws.
Ryan suspects it did. The same pencil-whipped safety checks. He believes his old ship couldn't fire back when it was attacked because the systems were never properly installed.
So for Ryan, fixing the Arawyn isn't just duty.
It's atonement. He's trying to save this ship from the fate of his last one.
That's incredibly heavy. But the logs do give us a moment of levity to balance it out. We have to talk about the cat.
The stowaway kitten, yes. Ryan finds it inside a malfunctioning replicator in the mess hall.
And Flamia, our stoic, psionic Romulan hybrid security chief, ends up claiming it.
The visual described in the logs is incredible. Aev is walking down the corridor with this little orange tabby kitten perched on his shoulder. Meanwhile, his holographic companion, Ignis, is absolutely roasting him.
Ignis is an AI.
A holographic projection, yes. Ignis calls the cat a hostile unit and criticizes its smug posture.
It effectively humanizes Aev in a way nothing else really could.
It does. You have the changeling threat, the broken weapons, the trauma, and then a security chief being purred at by a kitten. It provides a necessary anchor. It reminds us what they're actually protecting.
We also have a new face in medical who seems to be shaking things up. Dr. Claire Dunross.
She makes quite an entrance. She arrives via shuttle with an injured crewman, Ensign Reyes, and immediately commandeers surgery to fix his hand. She doesn't wait for permission, she just starts working.
And she catches the eye of the new tactical chief, Grayson McKinney.
She does. McKinney comes in for a checkup, trying to charm his way out of it, but Dunross notices a tattoo on his arm. A karumka.
That's a river spirit, right?
Brazilian folklore. McKinney explains his grandmother told him it protects against bad luck. He tells Dunross, vacuum is just another kind of river.
I love that line. It grounds this high-tech space travel in old Earth superstition.
Dunross loved it too. Her private log had a very short, very clear note. Ask him out. So amidst all this paranoia, romance is still blooming.
But Sickbay wasn't all romance. There was a staffing crisis that Dr. Amberlyn had to deal with when she got back.
This is a masterclass in leadership, actually. Amberlyn returns from her getaway to find Sickbay deserted. Staff had snuck off to watch a damage control game championship.
While a patient was waiting.
Exactly. Dr. Jorek, the Vulcan, was the only one there. Now, most leaders would scream, they'd hand out citations. Amberlyn did something scarier.
The quiet riot.
She lined them up and made them stand in silence. She waited until the guilt was unbearable and they started confessing on their own. She reminded them that they are a team and abandoning your post is a betrayal of that team.
You can't rebuild a crew if that trust is broken.
Exactly. And that theme of trust brings us to the final leadership moment. Captain Corbin and Dr. Amberlyn have a private walk and talk.
Right.
Corbin realizes she cannot carry the secret of the changeling alone. She needs a circle of support. So she expands Amberlyn's role. She puts her in charge of counseling too, including the new counselor, Nick Miller.
It feels like she's tightening the ranks.
She is. If the enemy can be anyone, you need your healers and your listeners to be hyper-aware. By consolidating that under Riah, Corbin is ensuring that if the crew starts to crack under the pressure, they'll catch it early. She's building a safety net before she pushes them onto the tightrope.
So let's look at the board. The Arawyn is leaving Lathira IV. Where do they stand?
Well, the tactical array is finally fixed. No thanks to the original builders, but thanks to Harlan and his team. The crew is rested, thanks to Rin's soft landings. Medical is back in line.
But they've shifted from holiday mode to war footing without the general crew even knowing why.
It's a fragile state. They are technically stronger than they were when they arrived. The guns work, the people are rested, but the psychological safety for the command staff is gone. They know something the rest of the ship doesn't.
It brings up a really provocative thought to end on. We usually focus on the tech, the shields, the warp cores. But in this deep dive, we saw the ship was broken by bureaucracy and haste. And the fix wasn't just a hydrospanner, it was honesty. It was admitting trauma.
That is the real repair work.
So here's the question. In a universe where your enemy can wear the face of your friend and your own ship might leave the dock broken on purpose, is trust a luxury a Starfleet crew can actually afford? Or is shared trauma the only thing actually holding the hull together?
That is the question they're going to have to answer in the dark days ahead.
And we'll be watching to see how they do it. Thanks for diving in with us.